Hey dudes, welcome to Ask Tommy number 5. First question. Have you done any interviews you've regretted lately? Yes, a few. One in particular, I won't say her name, but I'm sure if you go through my channel in the last few months, you'll see a super short interview with a first time guest. I went on YouTube and saw a 1986 cable access interview she did, and I was like, oh man, she's fun. She's forthcoming. She's awesome. Man, I'm going to enjoy this. Well, I didn't enjoy it because guess what I didn't take into consideration? A lot has happened since 1986. She's been nominated with multiple Tonys and never won any. Her film career is not super spectacular. So, of course, it wasn't going to be the same interview. So, silly me. I just, I just totally botched that one, didn't I? So, I really had to carry that one. So, yes, that's one I've done lately that I really regret. Man, I even asked her the day before if she had listened to an episode of mine, and she said, no, sorry. That should have been a fucking sign. That should have been a fucking sign. But you live and you learn. I am enjoying your nerd out conversations. Who's been your favorite so far? By far, Carrie Haim. She's a decade older. She's friendly, personable, has a great laugh. She's not easily offended, and she's more engaging than most. My nerd out conversation with Katie Barberi comes in second. Again, a decade older. And Amy Resnick, our nerd out, would be third. We got to go down so many rabbit holes in 2 hours in that conversation. That was spectacular. And of course, there's Meredith Godfrey, who's been a friend for the past 18 years. I've known her. And, a couple of them, Lisa Raggio recently. And they're going to keep getting more and more fun because I'm going to do a lot of them this year. This has been just so fantastic. I'm glad I started doing this at the end of last year. And now it's at the point now where almost everybody I bring this up to wants to do it. Sadly, a lot of them post strike, are so friggin' busy trying to get work or doing work that some of them I have to wait a while for, but they're going to do it. So more nerd outs are coming. So to answer your question, those are my top three, but Carrie by far, Carrie Haim is my favorite that I've nerded out with so far. I enjoyed your recent interview with Jenna Bellin. That interview was epic. Any background on that interview? Well, I DM'd her on Facebook in late 2022 for the 50th anniversary of American Graffiti, and there was no response. So I assumed it went to spam, so I ended up getting Ed Greenberg right away for the 50th. When this year began, I decided to try again. So this time I wrote on her wall, and success. She DM'd me and apologized for not reading the message the year before, and she said she was down to do it. And she asked me if we could get to know each other a little bit in Messenger call. So we did. And she asked me if she could throw some of her co stars from American Graffiti under the bus. I said, absolutely. Now, if you go and listen to that interview, after hearing it and finding out what she said, I'll tell you something. In all honesty, I was expecting her to be telling me some juicy, scandalous, rapey, hashtag Me Too patriarchal shit. Right? That's what I thought. That's what I thought she meant by throwing her co-stars under the bus. But then she pulled a huge 180 on me, and I'm happy. I love the way the interview turned out, but I was expecting something much more worse than what she told me, and that's happened with quite a few people. I'm always expecting they're going to tell me the worst, about my idols and stuff. So, yeah, she did throw some people under the bus, but not quite like I anticipated, and it's the same thing happened. I remember last summer when I interviewed Megan King. We talked unrecorded a week or two before. He threw a lot of people under the bus, and I thought he was going to do the same on record. but instead I threw people under the bus. Irony of irony. But that Jenna Bellin interview, I am just so happy with it. She was a lot of fun. And full disclosure, that interview was supposed to be a lot longer than it was, and it was. First off, I didn't expect it to be as long as it was. We talked 100 minutes. It's an 88, 87, 88-minute interview. That's because she went on a political diatribe during the Secret Silly game at some point, and it obviously slowed down the game, and plus it was political, and so her and I both mutually decided that that was not going to be in the episode. So I took it out. It's a great interview. Go check out the Jenna Bellin interview. Ever thought about doing a live Q&A episode of Splat from the Past? Of course, I've talked about how I'd love to host panels at conventions ad nauseum, but recently I thought to myself, since I'm back in the Bay Area and I have a lot of celebrity guests who live there, I could always rent a theater, get one or two celebrity guests, and do a live episode like what Mark Maron used to do with WTF. But then I thought to myself, this is just like when I tried to put on a movie screening before the pandemic in 2020. Like, do I really need this dress? You know, all I have to say is make some calls for me. If you want me to do a live Splat from the Past somewhere, make some calls for me, because it's going to be a real pain in the ass to do so. You know, and it's just, I'm not in a financial situation to take a gamble on that. But yes, I would love to do a live Q&A episode. Do you have any hidden talents? Yes, I can open a water bottle with my belly button, and I can do musical hands, just like John Toomey used to do on The Tonight Show. And let me do a little bit for you. I did it way better when I was younger. Much better. Before my hand was fractured from the accident, I used to do it like powerhouse. But I can still do it a little bit, so I hope you enjoyed that sample. I am loving your nerd out conversations. Who do you want to nerd out with in the future? Karen Richmond, let's hope that happens. There's some days where she wants to do it and some days when she doesn't. Um, Marjan Holden, Joy Eileen, a few others. They've all told me that they're going to come on here at some point this year and nerd out with me and stuff. It's just scheduling is a factor and lots of other things. But I'd like to get those ones on and others that don't come to mind at the moment. And I've got some good ones coming up that I hope you all enjoy. Are you on good terms with Linnea Quigley? Honestly, I don't think so. Not long after I had that blow up with Aaron Gilmer and those two fucking $2 douches back in February, I noticed that Linnea was no longer on my Facebook page. Or period. I think she blocked me. And even if she didn't, you know, she's still not on there. And I'll be honest, it hurt. It hurt a lot, you know. And I know Gilmer she probably like did a whole like Facebook call out thing on me, but I don't give a fuck by this point, you know. But the whole thing about Linnea, I am just so sad because, you know, I did a wonderful interview for her documentary back in 2017 that's still not released, and I hope it does get released. And, you know, I don't know. I mean, I said this in an interview recently. When you're friends with celebrities in the convention scene, you know, your friendship with them is only temporary because, you know, they get complacent, they start believing shit that other people tells them, you know, and they change managers, and those managers tell them, you know, don't be friends with fans because they only want one thing from you, and that's popularity and fame and all that shit. Which, you know, that's a valid thing to say, but in the case of people like me and Greg Gilbert and all these other people who have had, really bad experiences trying to, you know, get into the cult movie world and conventions and all that shit. It's not fucking true. We have no fucking agenda or anything. And you know it's gotten to the point now where people are so fucking detached and so busy that they can't even go on fucking line to do some research on a person before becoming friends with them. It's not hard. And yeah, people do lie on their profiles and their social media, but they're not fucking lying. So, to answer your question about Linnea, no, I don't think it'll ever be repaired after our incident. What dead icon would you like to do a tribute to in the future on Splat from the Past? That's a great question. Years ago, I wanted to do a tribute to Jim Croce, and I was persistent with his widow, and she was just not interested. I don't know why. I mean, she's a very free spirited, liberal, kind of hippie chick, but the way she came off in email, it was kind of disappointing and kind of intense. I don't know what the issue was. And I do know that she does do interviews, but for some reason she just wasn't interested in talking to me, and I have no clue as to why, you know. But I would like to do a tribute to him at some point. Also, I'd like to do a tribute to Charlie Chaplin, John Belushi, comedy legends like that. Hopefully, I will get to talk to some people who knew them or people who have written about them or something. We shall see. Do you believe guests when they say they'll come back on in the future to talk about something? At this point, honestly, no. Not anymore. I will tell you this though. I have found that guests that when I say to them, I don't want you to come back on. If I don't say, I'd like to have you back on in the future, they usually do. But then when I do say I do want you back on in the future, they don't come on. It's a weird thing. And honestly, I treat every interview like I do to be my last with them. I try to cram in as much stuff as possible, but then sometimes, more often than none, they come back on. But if I just, if I just, say, if I just not say that I want them back in the future, they'll come on. But if I do say that I'd like you back on in the future, they won't come on. That's something I have noticed. Are there any good interviews from 2023 you regret not including in your 2023 year in review show? That is a really good question, and I am so glad you asked that. Yes, Cynthia Rothrock. She was fun, friendly, unassuming. She took offense to nothing. She had a great laugh, and I don't know why I didn't include that one. Probably because it was a difficult process to get her on, and I had a little bit of spite in me because of it. But when I listened back to that interview, oh my God, she was totally committed. I mean, she showed very little enthusiasm about doing the interview for those 3 months that I was trying to book her. But when she was in, she was in. She committed to that interview. I don't know how or why she did, but obviously she's a force of nature, and she's very tough and also very cool. And I'm so glad that I got to talk with her. It was a complete honor, and she did not disappoint. I noticed you didn't do too many holiday movie or TV focused episodes around the holidays last year, besides Halloween and Christmas. Much anymore in general. Why is that? The answer is simple. I've done too many that have been chronicled, but I think this year I'll have some good ones. But yeah, I mean, I've talked to so many people, about holiday focused movies and TV shows that I'm actually running out of it because I've chronicled almost everything I want to chronicle in classic uh, holiday movie and TV shows. So it's really difficult, but I still love holidays, I love the internet holidays. I love the real national holidays. I'm a holiday guy in general. So, yeah, I do what I can with that. I do what I can. You have a lot of elderly people on your show that you interview. Do you enjoy that more than younger? Oh, it's equal, but I will tell you this. I love interviewing somebody who was in a cult movie back in the 80s, then literally left the business, but don't mind talking about it. The younger ones are humble, got great stories, and like to laugh and be fun, but I cherish those guests. But oh my God, the ones that are like 60 to 90 years old, the ones who think that they were forgotten, I just love brightening their day, because they literally forgot about a lot of this stuff until I reached out to them, so that always feels good, And, these are people who never get asked to do cons or screenings and panels and so forth. So those bring the most joy to me, and it makes me feel important when I do that. Which is more fun to interview? Hollywood, New York, Canada, or local actors from bumfuck to Egypt? I love the first three choices, but definitely bumfuck to Egypt. I'm talking about the local actors who were in Hollywood movies shot in their hometown. Those are great. Examples come to mind as John Fertitta of Louisiana, Sam Rush of Arizona, Stephanie Dees, and Eddie Schumacher of Colorado. Local actors, very sweet and humble people. People who are like anti Hollywood and just rather be where they are at that exact moment. Those are my favorite ones to talk to. Have you tried getting William Butler on the podcast? Oh, fuck yes. But the problem is this. Just like Dean Cameron, William Butler can't reply a fucking message or comment without sarcasm. And that shit is exhausting. I don't need that shit. If you want to do it, then say it, but don't fuck with me. This shit's personal. This is my passion. All you have to do is fucking go talk to people that we both mutually know. You don't have to be a dick and start, engaging with me just to get rid of me. The whole trick is to disengage in order to get rid of somebody, but don't fucking have fun with me by just being a dick like that, And if he wants to do it, he wants to do it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. I mean, the guy's a horror legend and a horror icon. We do have some mutual friends, and I've tried getting them to get to make the connection to get an interview with them, and for whatever fucking reason, they won't get back to me. Maybe he's difficult when the recorder's not on or the camera's not on or whatever. I don't know. That's not my way of saying anything. But we shall see. I would like to get him. I'd like to get Lin Shaye. I'd like to get a lot of horror, heavyweights. Ones I haven't met at conventions. I'd like to get. But we shall see, because like I've said, it's exhausting to deal with a lot of these people. They don't have trust in anybody when you're dealing with them one on one. And then when you do deal with them, it's either going to be a good experience or a bad one. Is there a subject that interests you that hasn't been tackled yet on Splat from the Past? Yes, Bukkake. Maybe that'll be an episode for International Masturbation Month. We shall see. That's it. Later, dudes.